Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us on this episode of Stay Curious and Happy Halloween. It's October 31st, 2022, and we've got a little Halloween program about some starry sights up there. So sit tight and don't get scared. I'm going to learn you a little bit here about how Halloween is actually an astronomical holiday. And of course, this amateur astronomer loves anything to do with stargazing and astronomy. And look at this ghost like nebula behind me, which is an actual image taken by the Hubble telescope of a galaxy and a nebula in a galaxy far, far away, our galaxy, the Milky Way. So, hope you enjoy this little bit of episode of American Space Museum Starry Astronomy Night. Some scary astronomy, some superstitions, and like I said, a reason why astronomy is a astronomical event. And no, we don't have Triple T here, but we have me, Marquette. Thank you there, Marty Winkle, my co-producer, is running the Streamlabs board today. And Connie McDaniel, thank you for helping out today. One of our wonderful volunteers here at the American Space Museum, where for over 20 years we've been preserving the birth of America's space age right here in its delivery room, Brevard County. We were hoping to have a scary Falcon Heavy launch this morning, but that is going back to Tuesday morning at 9:40. We'll have a launch of a Falcon Heavy sending Space Force satellites up to special orbit to protect our country. Today we're going to look back at some good Halloween stuff, like the Usiak brothers here, Tom and Mark, dressed up back in the 60s for Halloween. Kind of looks like you guys. I know you're watching out there. But Marty, that's some ingenious costuming there from and mom and dad. Mom wondered where her colanders were the next day, I'm sure. But we celebrate Halloween all over. It's fun to do, whether you're scary or just dress up as a character you wish you could be. These are a crew on the International Space Station, an Elvis and a Darth Vader. And I'm not sure who the other guy on the right is, Marty, but he's a spaced out character up there. But our prize for the best astronaut space costume on Halloween is to this young lady, Nicole Stott. Hi, Nicole. Nicole in 2009 was on Expedition 21 on the International Space Station. And she told us that she found something orange and put all this together like a big old space orange pumpkin in the International Space Station in 2009. So everybody has a lot of fun with Halloween, but did you know? Yes, I've been telling you, it's an astronomical holiday. It's what is called a cross-quarter day. All right. And Halloween is short for All Hallows Eve. Okay. And this is an event still celebrated by the Anglican Church, like Episcopalians, where on the closest Sunday to November 1st is All Hallows Eve, and that's traditionally Halloween Eve, because November 1st is called All Saints Day, and this was to celebrate the dead, and that's what the Anglican Church wanted to do, is celebrate a Day of the Dead to remember your loved ones that had passed. This is probably these cross-quarter days. Let's go back to them. They started in something called a Samhain. Samhain is a sacred festival of the ancient Celtics and Druids in the British Isles. Marty, I guess they weren't Celtics because they weren't basketball players, but they were Celts. Okay. Well, a cross-quarter day is what this Samhain celebration was all about. And when it occurred, these keen observers of the sky had another celebration. So a cross-quarter day is more or less midway between an equinox, and that's when the sun sets and rises due east and west, the longest days of the year, And a solstice, or not, they're equal days, not longest days. The equinoxes are equal days of the year, where we have about 12 hours daytime, 12 hours sunset, darkness. um, the solstices are when the sun is at its northernmost or southernmost part of the sky, and we celebrate those. Of course, the winter solstice coming up December 22nd, and the summer solstice in June 22nd. The days in between these well-known seasons are called cross-quarter days. And Halloween, October 31st, is approximately midway between the autumn equinox and winter solstice. Actually, November 7th is the date in that. And that's in the northern hemisphere. For our Australian buddy, Cliff Watson, hey Cliff, there in Pomona, Australia, he's experiencing springtime and looking forward to the spring equinox, and then the summer solstice for the southern hemisphere is right before Christmas. In other words, in traditional astronomy, there are 8 subdivisions of the seasons. So what are the cross-quarter days, Marty? I know you know one of them really well. It's called Groundhog Day, all right? Groundhog Day. And, of course, I'm going to have a groundhog and an astronaut yellow pumpkin suit there. For Pumpkin Suit Day is, of course, Halloween. The Groundhog, February 2nd. The other cross-quarter day, the next one, is in May. And old-timers like Marty and I remember May Day being celebrated. Both those pictures didn't come out. Okay. Well, doggone it, I've got a maypole being shown there. And on the next cross-quarter day, doggone it, a maypole was you had a ribbon around a pole and everybody ran around it until the ribbon was wrapped around the pole, kind of like a pleasant way to play tetherball, where you smack the pole around a pole in there. The other cross-quarter day that you don't know much about is called Lammas Day. And Lammas Day celebrates, that is between, around August 1st, between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. And Lammas Day celebrates flower, life being born, August being a month when lots of things are starting to be harvested. And sorry I don't have those illustrations there for you. Thought I racked them in there. I'll have to double check that when we're done. So Halloween is the spookiest of the cross-quarter days, possibly because it comes at a time of year when days are growing shorter. Of course, October 31st, a date for Halloween, is the cross-quarter day, though November 7th is actually the time between the winter solstice and the autumnal equinox. Well, there are a couple things in the sky that are very apparent, that are demon-oriented or added to Halloween, and they all involve Perseus, the hero of our mythological tale, where Perseus saves Andromeda from a monster. And Andromeda is the spoiled daughter of Cassiopeia, the queen. And the queen and her son-in-law, potential son-in-law, are together in the northeast sky on autumn evenings. And Perseus, Cassiopeia, the queen, looks like a W in shape there. Well, Perseus at the bottom is like a Y-shaped, all right? And Perseus is our big hero because he slew the scary mythological monster called the Gorgon, the Medusa that had snakes instead of hair. And Medusa looking at you would turn you to stone, all right? Well, in this Perseus constellation that's easy to find in the northeast right now is a star called Algol. And Algol is nicknamed the Demon Star. All right. Algol takes its name from the Arabic meaning for the Medusa, the monster. All right. And there is a 17th century drawing of Perseus in the sky and Kaput Hada, Medusa, the head of Medusa, is said to be the double cluster of stars that are apparent when you look at Medusa on a clear night, when you look at Perseus on a clear night. Where Algol is the demon star, and below it is a cluster that they imagine being the head of the ugly snake-headed Medusa. Well, the demon star Algol was called that because it seemed to wink and is a reddish color. It gets brighter and then it gets dim. And you can watch this over a period of about 3 days, all right? The star brightens and dims with clockwork regularity in a cycle of 2 days and 20 hours. And its entire cycle is visible to everyone. You can tell whether it's bright or dim. It dims by about 1 magnitude, which is a lot, because the difference between first magnitude and second magnitude is 2.5 times fainter. And this star is around second magnitude that goes to third. Early stargazers knew it because of its changing brightness, and it was called all kinds of names throughout antiquity. But it's easy to find, and like I said, the star chart here, you can find it walking around on Halloween night there. So Algol, the demon star's up there, but for me, Marty, I like the darkness that Halloween brings because it feels right out there in the dark. Early sunsets, swift end to twilight. It brings out the night in a hurry on these autumn nights. With insects and birds now departed, the landscape is hushed. And if you're in a dark place, it can even be spooky. Add a pinch of foreboding and a dash of fright, and a night alone at the telescope may send shivers up your spine. Or is that just the temperature falling? I'll have to have a little rocket fuel on that. Well, to help you attain a state of delighted delirium, I offer several scary nebula for your viewing pleasure. They have ghoulish names like the Skull Nebula, the Phantom Streak, and the Witch Nebula. And they encompass everything in the bright and dark interstellar clouds that are captured in a telescope and its sun and its light bouncing off your very eyeball as you're looking at it. The photos I'm going to show you help to suggest their namesakes, though a little imagination doesn't hurt either. And so the next clear night, I hope you go outside and come face to face with nature's frightful beauty. Now, many of these images, like this one of my favorite ones there, forward there, the Ghostus Nebula there is one of my favorite ones called the Death Eater Nebula. Okay, I'm taking some liberties here, but this object called Sharpless 2-68 really does remind me of those flying Death Eaters in the Harry Potter movies. You see the Death Eater face in the blue over on the left there. This one even has 2 beady stellar eyes. This is a faint planetary nebula, which is a star that blew up thousands of years ago. And of course, you don't see this with your naked eye, even if you knew where to look. These are special filters and long exposures on these type of objects there. But let's see and look and see what else we have to keep you a little spooked out on Halloween 2022. How about the Coffin Nebula, Marty? Looks like a throat lozenge more than a coffin, but still it's got an eerie look to it there. And here we have the Skull Nebula. Not too hard to envision a skull in the remains of a star that blew up and is dying. So how appropriate that for a Skull Nebula. And then we've got things out there like the Ghost Nebula or Ghost Image Nebula. It looks like some spacey trip out there where you can't get your feet settled down and everything seems to be moving around, and it's like a keyhole into the depths of the universe there. Very, very spooky sometimes. And how about this wonderful image of a screaming ghoul that's part of the Pleiades star cluster, which is up at night, and you stay up at night and you might see the Pleiades star cluster rising in the west there. I know Doug Forrest will be looking for it. Thank you for watching, Doug. William Whiting's with us today. Dave Stange, Steve Hammer. Thank you for watching, Steve. Inquired about his T-shirts, and we ran out of a couple sizes, so we saved them, and we got yours coming to you ASAP, Steve. We got Marquise Kowalski, and Hazel Banks is watching. No doubt scared out of her mind after watching her Buffalo Bills just cream the Green Bay Packers last night. So a lot of cool things to see, and that's fun about astronomy is you interpret things the way you see them. And a lot of these faint fuzzies that we photograph or sketch in a telescope have names that are surreal or even Halloweenish. And one, without a doubt, one of the favorite of all, the Flaming Head Nebula. Holy cow. Something with my green screen's going crazy here, Marty. We'll have to fix that, but we got a little extra images there on our Flaming Nebula there. Yeah, it's probably the light on it over there. But look at that skull flaming. You can just see one of those Halloween movies where the flaming skull's running around on there. And how about the Witch Nebula? That certainly looks like the profile of a witch to me. And yet this is a interstellar cloud of gas that stretches for maybe 5 light years from one side to the other. And it's being blown in interstellar space to have this kind of a shape of a witch. Or it could be a man. It could be Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina for all that. But Halloween time, it's a witch. And so hope you've enjoyed some of our look at the skies a little bit on this Halloween here to entice you a little bit when you're getting out, giving that candy out tonight. Look up in the sky and think of all these ghouls that are looking down at us. And try not to get too scared about Medusa there and her head of snakes there, because I've had a few nightmares or two about a woman who looks like that. Ha ha ha. But so I'll end y'all with this one little spooky nebula that's one of the favorites of all. And I hope that you stay clear of these creatures tonight and don't get a zombie eye looking at you face to face as we look at one of the more famous objects in the night sky and it being turned into a zombie. So hope you've all enjoyed a little bit of Starry Night, Scary Night live here on Stay Curious. And hope you all are being safe out there and enjoy a wonderful holiday, and hope that you remember that Halloween is an astronomical holiday. So go out there and enjoy it and get you some good treats and give some good treats and be kind to everybody out there as they're having a little bit of fun today, getting maybe out of their body experience into the skies, imagining a zombie nebula. So, Marty, thank you a lot for a good Streamlabs show today. Tomorrow, we're going to kick off the shuttles of the month of November, and there's 16 of them to talk about. So we're going to kick off a month where we're going to have Wednesday, Terry White, the payload, or not the payload, Terry White is the orbital processing facility manager that babysat those orbiters in their garages for months on end to do just maybe a 10 or 16 day mission. We'll be talking to Terry on Wednesday. We're lining up Hugh Harris, the voice of NASA, the following week, and Mikey Haddad for some of the payloads of the month of November. So you won't want to miss it. And we hope that, again, that you have a safe and fun Halloween time and you've enjoyed our little look at the scary things that go bump in the night around my telescope anyway. So until next time I see you, I'm Mark Marquette saying I can't wait to spook you again and bridge the space between us.